Hi, I'm Megan. Welcome to today's live reading of Sweet Dreams by Claire by Nanette Littlestone, presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Join me. Chapter 1, Claremore, County Galway Island, Monday, June 18th. Food is more than just nutrition. Food is a gateway to adventure, which is why my ancestors agreed there are two necessities in life, bread and dreams. The first, to nourish your body and keep it going. The second, to nourish your mind. 22 years. The bakery sign for Bread and Dreams has watched over me ever since I started helping at the age of 5. The 5-foot oval on the back wall commands your attention when you first walk in. The sky blue metal reminds me of a cloudless summer morning and the powdery white trim, a dusting of confectioner's sugar. When I was little, there was more adventure with the baking. Ma'am used to put hidden ingredients in the in the soda bread, pieces of candied fruit or chocolate, or make a different scone flavor every day. But things changed when my dad had to slow down for health reasons and decided to retire. The oomph fizzled out. Dad was all for selling the bakery, but Ma'am couldn't give it up. The shop had been in her family for generations, going back to my great great grandparents. I keep offering to take over more of the baking and introduce some new items, but she won't hear of it. And now we're competing with the new Castle Resort. The only way to stay afloat is to branch out, bring in a younger crowd of customers. If only Ma'am wasn't so set in the past, having to take charge of the finances, the ordering, the managing of suppliers, all that can sap your creativity. If I had the money to buy her out now and let her retire, I would. Then I could create and dream to my heart's content, because dreaming is what makes baking so much fun. I want to experiment with exotic spices and flavors, learn new techniques, incorporate all of that into our food. With that, I look at the sign again, place my hand over my heart, and swear that someday Claire Francis, will have my own bread and dreams. A shop full of baking adventures, not just the classic Irish staples like bramback or soda bread, my mother's favorites, but magical concoctions with lemongrass or chilies or saffron. The ideas make my mouth water, and I long to go to practice in the kitchen. Ma'am would curb my enthusiasm with practicality and satisfying our customers' needs. Barnback and soda bread are perfectly fine for the people we see, and they are tasty. But how can you know what you want if you never venture beyond the ordinary? It's not that I don't love my family. It's a joy helping Ma'am with the baking and the sales, but it's up to me to shape my future. I look over the small shop with its worn wooden counter and 8 display shelves, the cracks in the floor that Dad refinished 10 years ago, the plates with chips along the edges that hold free sugar cookies. This is fine for my mother, but I want more. In the back, the heavy aroma of yeast and butter and sugar take me on a baker's fantasy every time I work. Out here in front, the smell is more subtle, a gentle tease that tickles my nose and invites me to explore. The quiet lets my imagination soar. The counter in my dream shop would be longer than this one, at least an extra 6 feet, with separate showcases for bread, savory goods, cakes and tarts, and fancy desserts. The British baking show fills my head with visions of profiteroles, roudelains, tea cakes, and daquillas. To the left of the entrance would be a cluster of small tables and chairs for having tea or coffee with a pastry, and a few tables and chairs outside under umbrellas like a French cafe. My mother doesn't want the shop crowded with people sitting, but I quite like the idea. It sounds cozy and neighborly, a way for people to relax and appreciate the food. On the opposite side of the entrance, along the side wall, would be shelves filled with baked goods to go, cellophane wrapped mini loaves of quick breads or slices of cake, plus a variety of tea and coffee in bright canisters. I tighten my ponytail and push the straight brownish hair behind my shoulder, and then tug on my polo shirt, the same blue as our logo with bread and dreams in white on the top left side. Ma'am comes out from the back and places the tray of cupcakes on the counter. Soft brown curls frame an oval face that seems a little warier than before. 6 vanilla and 6 chocolate, she says, for the taste testing at the castle. Rodark Resort? Who's doing the tasting? I reach to swipe at the frosting and she bats away a hand. A nice woman named Brigid. She's getting married on Saturday. There is a Brigid Fallon here in town, but she's married and moved to County Kerry. And Brigid Jordan, much too young for marriage, who went to London for university. Last year, there was a big to-do with Brigid Cleary and that author Andrew Connolly at Eva's bookshop. People didn't stop talking about that for months, but they went back home across the pond. I clear my thoughts and focus on the task. Won't she want something special? Everyone wants something special, like spice cupcakes with a candy ginger frosting, or a chocolate and raspberry swirl with a raspberry sauce. Let me make some. Claire, these are. It won't take me a minute. You know how fast. Claire, these are ready to go. But they're so plain. The half smile on her face is the one she gives me when politeness wars with frustration, and I know I've overstepped. All this giving out to me about the cupcakes. They're fine, she says, her voice crisp and direct, signaling an end to our discussion. But if she wants the ones we make, why doesn't she come here for the tasting? Why do we have to take them to her? So many questions, Claire. It's a wonder your brain has room for other things. Now get a move on. Brigid is expecting you. I pack the cupcakes in a box, careful to keep the frosting intact. Then I quietly sing a little ditty that came to mind the other day. Ma'am sighs. You know there are more to life than someone liking your cupcakes. I turn to her with a smile of certainty. But the Prime Minister is an important person, so that's the grand prize, the ultimate success. She leans against the counter. Is it now? I nod. It is. If the head of our country likes them, then it proves I'm the best. Ah, sweet girl, she says. You don't have to prove that to anyone but yourself. The bell rings over the front door, interrupting our conversation. I don't get to tell her once again that she's wrong. What other people think matters. A lot. My head goes back. She heads to the back and I grab a towel to wipe my hands as footsteps approach the counter. My least favorite customer. I paste on a fake smile. Mr. Foley, welcome to Bread and Dreams. My whole body tightens in resistance and I want to run. Instead, I grip the counter and force the automatic response. What can I get you today? 6 of your almond scones and a dozen flaky dinner rolls, he barks. A cloud of sweaty gym socks washes over me. The really flaky ones, he adds. I nod and hold my breath until at least 8 feet separates us, and then I bend down and drag in clean air. A second or two to relax before I have to face him again. If he could just brush his teeth in the morning, maybe use a little mouthwash. And in my head, I see Ma'am shaking her head and say, Now, Claire, be kind to the man. He's doing his best. My mother, the saint. Chewing my lip, I gather his order and place the goods on the counter. Will there be anything else, I ask, hoping he'll say no. I have an errand to run, but he dithers and ers and ums and walks the whole length of the counter, twice. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, I say under my breath. He glares. Excuse me? Nothing, Mr. Foley. My voice drips with honey. Did you see anything else you wanted? He shakes his head no, and then he holds out payment. And we play tug of war with the cash, his way of having a conversation. Too many seconds pass until he lets go. I put the cash in the till and he grabs the bag and shuffles out of the shop. The sun is bright this June morning. The sky is blue as a blueberry swirl. The walk to the castle will be fine, good for my left leg, even though it starts to drag and my thigh twinges. I stop to rub it, gently trying to knead out the pain. A cramp at 30 yards is not a good sign when there are still a couple of miles to go. Now is when I wish, once again, that I owned a car. A vehicle would make short work of the distance and save me all the time that I could be spending on new inventions. I can see myself driving down the road, the window open to let the breeze in, the smell of cut grass and fresh air, and golden sunshine as sweet on my tongue as a piece of melting chocolate. I know cars are expensive, but just think of all the places I could visit, the tastes I could taste. I've never even left Ireland. With a sigh, I start up again, the box tucked up against my side, vanilla and chocolate cupcakes. How pedestrian. Already my brain is inventing something magical, mysterious. Double dark chocolate with a cherry whipped cream frosting, banana cake with a banana pudding center, and macadamia nuts on top. Cranberry orange with an orange decor, and candy pecan frosting. Whoever this Brigid is will be nodding and smiling and sighing enthusiastically with each new taste and praising the fabulous concoctions. I can't help the grin as all those flavors whirl in my head and take my mind off the effort of walking. When I round the bend in the road and come face to face with a dark-haired man on a bicycle barreling down at me, his mouth opens in surprise. I yelp. He motions frantically. I leap. Landing on the side of the road jars my bad hip, but thank God for the cushiony grass. I don't think anything's broken, but there will be bruises, large Technicolor ones. Brakes screech. He drops the bike on the pavement with a metal clang. Then he clumps over to me, with his hands braced on his hips, his face an angry red. What the hell were you doing in the middle of the road? Rude and unhelpful, not to mention that he was in my way. Well, excuse me for taking liberties on my walk, and I wasn't in the middle. It was more on the side. I was trying to get up and give a gasp as my hip burns. He drops his hands to his side and his face gentles. You're hurt. It's nothing. A persistent throb tells me otherwise. I also notice that he doesn't have an Irish accent. Here, he says and extends his hands. Warm fingers clasp mine and pull me up. He's quite a bit taller than I am, with eyes like blue forget-me-nots and thick waves of dark hair. He steps back and I remember to stop staring, and then I take stock of myself. My white runners, freshly washed, have new scuff marks, and there are grass stains on my jeans and the hem of my shirt, and the throb turns into a constant pulsing. I shift my weight to my other leg. Otherwise, I'm okay. But the cupcakes. The box I took such care with is flattened, and the road is an abstract smear of white and brown. He walks over to the goopy mess, grinning, and gingerly picks up the box. What was it? He asks, half serious, half laughing. It's not funny, I tell him. Those were cupcakes for a woman getting married. She's waiting on me now at the castle. I shake my head. Ma'am will kill me. Maybe she'll be a little more lenient when I tell her it was my fault. Nice of him to admit his blame. I almost smile at that. Perhaps he's not so bad after all. And definitely not Irish. American, maybe? I just happen to have an inn at the castle, he continues. Let me give you a ride. On a ride? On what? Can you handle a bike? He asks. I shake my head, doing my best not to show my embarrassment. If I hadn't hurt my leg when I was little. But what happened in the past is in the past. He smiled, then, a beautiful smile that draws me in. All you have to do is sit on the seat and take care of the rest. But I don't. Before I can finish saying I don't have nothing to bring, he rights the bicycle, guides me onto the seat with my feet dangling. Then he straddles the bar, grabs the handles, and says, hold on, and we're off. The sudden lunge forward has me clutching his waist, which puts my focus on the rocking of his hips and the pull of his jeans as his legs propel us forward. I have to admit his legs and backside are nice. Quite nice.